Hi, I'm Professor Chuck. Welcome to the first week of The Hero's Quest. This will be a 5-week media studies series designed for you to follow along at home, designed to be something that is fun and easy for you to do while we're all trapped at home and we're all spending a lot of time on our screens watching Netflix and Hulu and whatever else. Anyway, it's a way to engage at a different level and exercise our brains while we're doing that. Um, in the Hero's Quest, we're going to be watching 5 different movies. We're starting this first week with The Hunger Games. It's a 2012 film starring Jennifer Lawrence. Probably most of you have seen it before. You may already know that it is a Hero's Quest. But as we go through this series, we're going to be looking at what are the sort of the key characteristics of heroes and what are the characteristic elements of a hero's quest or a hero's journey narrative. So for today, I wanted to start to talk to you through that. I have I will tell you, I have lecture notes and discussion questions and all those sorts of things available for you online. I set up a little website for this project. It's called professorchuck.com. So I would encourage you to look at my notes and blog posts and questions that I've posted for you there as well. But for today, I wanted to talk you just briefly through what the major elements of the Hero's Quest are, so that you'll know what to watch for as you're watching the Hunger Games. And the Hunger Games is a pretty solid example of the Hero's Quest. Some stories have more or less in common with the Hero's Quest, or they'll exclude elements. This one's pretty straight ahead. Okay, so the things that we will watch for in Hero's Quest, and so that we know that it's Hero's Quest. Very first thing we see is a call to action or a call to adventure. Okay, this can be a literal call or it can be a figurative call. In this case, in the Hunger Games, it's pretty literal, and so watch for that. Also notice that the second thing that often happens in a hero's quest is the hero's initial refusal of that call to action. Initially, the hero doesn't want to do it, and then there's something that happens that leads them to accept it. Oftentimes, that's a mentor that convinces them to accept the call. There's always a mentor figure. Almost always a mentor figure. At least there will be one that is hinted at in the past, something along those lines. Clearly, in this film, we have a mentor. I will leave that for you to discover who that mentor figure is. But I will say that we don't see the mentor in the Hunger Games until after Katniss has accepted her call to action. Also, around this same time, we often see that the hero is given, sometimes by the mentor, but sometimes by another figure, is often given a talisman. This is a special object, something often magical or possessing a certain power, but a physical object that the hero receives that is the talisman that guides them on that adventure. Okay, that talisman will come into play later in important ways. So watch for that. I think in Hunger Games, you're probably already thinking of what that talisman is, but watch for that. Watch for who gives her that talisman, and watch for the significance of that as we go forward. Once the mentor is met and the hero has accepted the call to action, there is then a transition into in mythopoetic understanding. It's a journey into the underworld. It can often be a magical forest or something along those lines. With more modern tellings of the hero's journey or the hero's quest, it's not necessarily a magical thing. In this case, we see that Katniss takes a train trip into the capital city. Okay, that's her journey into the unknown. The hero is going somewhere that they've never been before, somewhere that is unfamiliar or unknown. Along the way, the mentor may travel with them, not always, and usually there's a point at which the mentor has to leave the hero to go on their own. But the hero also during this time assembles and meets groups of friends and helpers along the way. The hero will also meet adversaries, and then once that journey is underway, we will see a series of trials and tribulations, a series of challenges where the hero has to overcome these challenges using all of those attributes that we tend to think of as being heroic traits. They have to have a lot of perseverance, but we also will often see the hero pass tests of strength or agility or intelligence, all these sorts of things. And we certainly have that in the Hunger Games. You'll see all those different tests along the way. As the hero approaches their goal, as it looks like the hero is about to win, there's often almost always a moment at which the hero faces a huge setback. They seem like they're gonna achieve their goals, and then they're at the brink of defeat. They're not achieving their goals at all. It looks like they're going to lose. They have to regroup. They pull back and figure out what the next steps are. And then as they move forward and with that final push, there is almost always, and you'll notice it in this film as well, although I won't tell you what it is, but there's also at that moment a final test for the hero, a final test of worthiness. Often it's not a test of his strength or intelligence. It's a test of the morals or the character of that hero. And then once they pass that final test, the hero receives what's often called the ultimate boon. The ultimate boon. Now, that can be a physical object, but it usually is not a physical object. Usually it's something less tangible than that. And often the ultimate boon is something a little bit different than what the hero was expecting to find or achieve at the end. So watch for that as well. Figure out what that ultimate boon is and how that might be a little bit different than what Katniss is expecting. But that's the basic steps along the way. Okay, we'll go into a little bit more detail as we look at other films, but I want you to have those kind of initially in the front of your mind. Once that ultimate boon is received, the hero returns home, and that may happen with some reluctance, but ultimately the hero returns home. This is the same pattern that we see in Hunger Games, but we see this in so many stories and so many movies. That's why it's so important for you to be able to recognize these elements and think about why these elements are in these stories that we tell and listen to and watch over and over again. Once you start thinking about things in terms of the hero's quest, you'll start to recognize this in Star Wars, in Shrek, in The Wizard of Oz, in just about every detective or adventure story that you ever see. There's going to be a lot of these elements of the hero's quest. So thank you for joining me. I think we're going to have a great 5 weeks. Enjoy watching the Hunger Games. Look for those discussion questions online, and I'll see you here back next week to wrap up this movie and to move us on to the next one. But I'm glad to have you on board. Welcome. Be well.